Finally, there we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's 21 Blackjack here for the Clean Finish podcast. Today is Saturday, February 27th, 2016. I apologize I wasn't here on Thursday. I had some job stuff to take care of, so I couldn't come on air at 8 o'clock. But anyway, we're going to have some fun today. Talk about Raw, NXT. A lot to talk about with Raw, not so much with NXT, surprisingly. And then I guess we'll jump into some news as well. Kind of go over everything that I didn't get a chance to on Thursday. Also, SmackDown, it's really weird. For once, SmackDown was actually not, I mean, with this Raw in particular, it's very hard for SmackDown to have topped it. But for once, SmackDown wasn't the better show. SmackDown also had a moment. If you haven't seen this already, I've retweeted it like crazy on my my personal Twitter. That's at It's 21 Blackjack. Podcast Twitter is at Need Clean Finish. And there was a spot in the main event of the night, which was Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, and AJ Styles versus the New Day. And after Jericho and Styles did a plancha or a pescado, I can't remember what they were doing. They flew over the top rope and did their dive. They ran back into the ring and danced together with AJ doing the stanky leg. I don't know why. It's one of those moments where you're just kind of like, wow, never ever thought in my life I would see that. First of all, AJ Styles in a WWE. Second of all, doing that of all things. It's kind of funny. I just thought it was pretty funny. SmackDown is almost like a house show in a lot of ways. That's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like an actual, I mean, there are some storyline progressions on it, but at times it has fun as if it is a house show. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into NXT first, since that was actually to me this week, it was definitely the lesser show. It was not the better show. Give me 1 second here as I pull up the results. All right, so NXT this week started off with it was Corey Graves' birthday. He was stoked about that, especially when Eva Marie and Carmella came out, but we'll get to them in a minute. We had Blake and Murphy versus American Alpha, which is Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. This was a pretty much completely dominant match by American Alpha. And the one thing that I do like in the storytelling that they do with Gable and Jordan is that essentially Gable and Jordan, and sometimes this needs to happen, Gable and Jordan are really, 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 really good at wrestling. Like, they're really good at it. Like, Chad Gable was in the Olympics, and Jason Jordan was a All-American at Indiana. So the heels never get one up on them whenever they wrestle because they're really good at it. So, you'll have 2-on-1 scenarios where all that's happening is just Chad Gable is just completely slipping out of it and then taking them both down and making everybody look silly. But it was really weird because that started off, I mean, granted, they do these in tapings, so I can imagine, for us, it looks like a new week. For them, this is like, all right, this is hour number 4. By the way, I may actually be going to NXT Charlotte in April. I'm not sure yet. I have my money ready, but I'm not 100% sure if I'll go. I do want to go, and I did see that there are some seats in the front row, so I really want to go and get some good shots there while I'm there. Anyway, pretty dominant match by American Alpha. Took Blake and Murphy what seemed like forever to get any heat on Gable. Jordan comes in for his hot tag. It's the best 30 seconds to a minute in pretty much NXT at this point. Just pulls down the straps and goes all nuts and suplexing people and throwing guys. Hit the finish, and that's pretty much it. Blake and Murphy, just a bunch of bums. They really have to do more with Alexa Bliss. They really do, because Alexa Bliss is what makes this tag team. She is what makes it. So to just see her on the outside, just kind of like looking at them be failures and not really doing anything to interfere, kind of annoying to me, because outside of that, these guys don't have much. They don't. I know Murphy is the better wrestler. Blake is a guy. Yeah, there's just nothing else to them other than that. That's pretty much it. Afterwards, we had William Regal, who said that he looked at the footage last week, said that it was a double pin finish, and that they will face off next week in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe, that is. And that William Regal will be introducing a new free agent to NXT. If you don't want spoilers, I will not tell you who it is, but you have 2 guesses pretty much, since NXT has already kind of given us clues as to who they are. Elias Sampson then had a quick little vignette for the Drifter, and that was another thing. It was just like, hey, just remember, I won all these matches. What they're building up for? No clue. After that, we had Apollo Crews versus Christopher Gerard, which is Biff Busick. For those of you that don't know who he is, this is Biff Busick's real name. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if he's going to get a new gimmick when he comes to WWE. Sorry, when he's not when he comes to WWE, but when he's, actually going to be utilized in NXT. If they're just going to make him a new name or whatever. But right now they're going with his actual actual legal name, Christopher Gerard. Yeah, I with Apollo Crews, my thing is this. It's Finn Balor. This is Finn Balor without face paint. And somebody tried to correct me and said, also without the charisma. But I'm like, if Finn Balor didn't have the demon gimmick and the face paint, you would not care about Finn. You wouldn't. Sure, he does the cute little stuff with Bailey whenever they're at house shows, and it seems fun, but that's not his character. When he's actually in the ring doing things, he's pretty boring. He's a pretty boring guy. And then Cruz's problem, especially in this match, was that Christopher Gerard was working a lot of Cruz's arm and his back. He had some pretty nasty looking holds. And then Apollo just kind of gets out of one chin lock, starts hitting his comeback, kips up as if nothing happened, hits his finish, and that's it. It's just, I know that Apollo Crews can. All right, I need to talk about this because it's the same problem that I have with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is not a good seller. The same way that I'm going to say that Apollo Crews is not a good seller. Well, actually, you know what? Apollo Crews is a bit better seller than Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is actually a terrible seller. What Dolph Ziggler is very good at, and he's great at even, is bumping. He's very good at taking bumps. He will fly into turnbuckles. He will make moves look devastating, but he is terrible at selling. And when I say that he's terrible at selling, is that he'll make a move look vicious and then completely forget that he's selling that body part. So if you've worked Dolph Ziggler's leg, for instance, or his head, and he'll make it look really bad or whatever on that move, when it comes time for him to hit all of his offense again, it's almost as if he completely forgets that, oh shit, I should be selling this. He's good at bumping, not so good at selling. The other annoying thing that Ziggler does to me is, like, he always does the Shawn Michaels falling on my back sell whenever he hits the super kick to make it look like as if it's like desperate or whatever. But the problem is that when Shawn Michaels does that, that usually ends the match and says that, wow, my opponent just worked me over so hard that all I could do after this super kick was just fall back into a pin and get my pin that way. So when people kick out of Dolph Ziggler's super kick and he just bounces back up, it looks weird. It looks awkward. It looks silly and stupid. That's one of my problems with Apollo Crews here, bringing it back to him, is that the second he gets into his comeback, he just kips up as if nothing happens. It's not like he's on the floor and he takes a few seconds and then he kips up to kind of regain his strength, or like Hulk Hogan, where, you know, Hogan hulks up, but it takes him some time. Like, he's taking the punches and he's just like gathering his strength, and then it happens. Crews just is like, all right, time to hit my comeback. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to kip up right after I hit my move, and then I hit my powerbomb, and that's it. I don't know, man. It's sad because I want to see Apollo Crews succeed, but, you know, we need something to get behind with on this guy. I don't know what it is. Afterwards, they talked a little bit about that Bayley and Carmella in the back. And Carmella said that she would still like to go for the women's title with Bayley, but, you know, but they're still friends, and that they've got a job to take care of tonight, to deal with Eva Marie and Nia Jax. And then the interviewer talked about Asuka, and Bayley said that she was glad that Asuka came out to help, and that she pretty much knows that she made it clear that Asuka wants the title. So everybody's gunning for Bayley at this point, which I like. I like that everybody that's involved in this tag team match and one person that's on the outside are all simultaneously gunning for this title, even though one person may be in the forefront right now, which is Asuka. They showed footage of a security camera showing Dash and Dawson attacking Enzo Amore. Apparently now Dash and Dawson are called the Revival. That's their new name, the Revival. Not the Mechanics. They're the Revival, because they've pretty much said that, you know, we're the revival of tag teams down here in NXT. And then basically they were attacking backstage. Sorry, not backstage, out in the parking lot. And then Cass went in to break it all up. It's really weird. Like, even the camera footage was weird, because I understand that you want to make it look like security footage so that it's like choppy or whatever. But I mean, it's 2016. Our security cameras are pretty clear nowadays. No, even in 2005, like, my school had a security camera that isn't that choppy. I work at, like, my laundromat right next door. If they wanted to do this, maybe you do it in black and white, because that's what most security cameras do, is black and white. My laundromat, like, right next door, has a security camera, and I know this because I went to I put in $1, or I put in $5 to go get change, and it just ate my dollar. So they needed to prove that I actually went and tried to do it. And when they did, they showed the footage and everything. They're like, okay, great. Yeah, and we'll give you your quarters. And that was in pretty pristine quality video too. And it's not like some great, pretty little laundromat either. It looks like a rundown joint that you'll find in like any hood, you know, but it has a security camera in it. So it was kind of silly to see that the quality of it was almost like a really choppy, weird looking cell phone from 2002 quality. You know, this looked like YouTube video, the joke where it's like, oh, did you record this with a potato? Quality. That's what that really looked like. Anyway, after that, they had a match, Tommaso Ciampa and Bull Dempsey. Still got Bull doing this comedy thing. I think this is pretty much the match where he's done. I think this was his last match on NXT, at least on television, because we know he's been released. So yeah, they did the whole weight thing. Ciampa was just really annoyed the entire match and tired of dealing with him. They did a few spots where they did the, like Bull would, like, he would raise his arm up and then instead do jumping jacks. Ciampa just attacked him. Match went about like 3 or 4 minutes. I can't remember. And just armbar. Tommaso wins with another that sick looking armbar that he does. Trying to think what else happened. Samoa Joe was backstage. And he was interviewed, and they talked about the title match that was upcoming, and Joe was just like, great, now I'm just gonna put him down 2 times. Zayn talked about it as well. Samoa Joe pretty much says that he's not surprised. He's been getting screwed since he's been here, which he has a point. He has been getting screwed. Tyler Breeze screwed him. He's been screwed out of a lot of opportunities. He finally just got 1 title shot. So, you know what? He's got a fair point there, but obviously he's trying to get the heel heat. He says that he vows that he's going to hurt Zayn as well. And Sammy in his interview says that he's comfortable with the stipulation. He doesn't care if it's 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 7. He is focused on becoming the first 2-time NXT champ. Afterwards, we got the main event fight. It's Eva Marie and Nia Jax versus Bayley and Carmella. Eva Marie and Nia Jax, of course, just their theme song. Sorry, they shouldn't even have a theme song. It should just be boos. It should be every single boo in that stadium should just be their theme. That's it. They don't have to play music. Just let them come down and get booed, and that's their theme at this point. It's that loud. The match was whatever. It's kind of hard to have a really good match with 3 rather green people in Carmella, Eva Marie, and Nia Jax, and knowing that if Bayley is out of that ring, that green people are going to be working with green people. And at one point, Carmella was working with Eva Marie. It wasn't horrible, but it's not great. There's not a lot to talk about. The finish was, at some point, Bayley got thrown out of the ring. Nia Jax went and hit 3 leg drops on Carmella. Eva tagged herself in and didn't even hit a move. She just tagged herself in so that she can get a pin. I thought that was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. And that was NXT. Wait. So after that match, actually, Regal was talking with Finn Balor, and he talked about how he's approaching the record for the longest reign. So next week, he will be facing Neville, the man who actually has the record for that reign. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a title match, but just a match with Neville. So should be a fun match, but feels like a nothing match if it's not for the title. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, boring show. It's okay. Everything pretty much made sense, but nothing really eventful. We'll do news after this. I actually want to check the chat real quick to see what you guys are talking about right now. Thank you, everybody who's here right now. By the way, there's 70 of you. If you do, go ahead and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe as well. Show me some love here as I continue to go through the rest of the shows, and then we'll jump into some news, and then I'll make sure that I do Wrestles Look Like. So if you want to send in your submission, send it now to @NeedCleanFinish. While I go ahead and continue to pull up the report. Let me see. Oh, one of you will actually be there at Charlotte. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, if I see you there, you'll hear my voice. If you hear my voice, you'll know who I am. I will probably actually be the loudest asshole if I go to Charlotte. Not like in a Full Sail way where it's like I'm trying to get over, but no, if I want to boo someone and I want to cheer someone, I will be loud about it. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the Raw. Let's first of all talk about the things that mattered on this episode. Raw actually started out with a, believe it or not, it started out with a 30-minute promo. I swear to God, it was 8:32 or 8:31 when this segment was done. This was a long segment, but I'll be damned if it was not boring. It was actually pretty great for the most part. Now, I'm not as excited as everybody else about Shane McMahon. I guess mostly because, you know, I mean, yeah, I know Shane and everything, but I'm really not all that excited when I see Shane McMahon. I guess the promise of things may change, or oh, Shane will make this interesting, comes about. But I'm not like super stoked like everybody else is. Like, oh my gosh, Shane's here, he's so entertaining. Granted, he was great in this segment. I did like him. He's very clean, wasn't tripping over any of his words or anything like that. He told a really good story with Steph about how, you know, she doesn't know about him and Vince talking about, you know, a previous arranged agreement, and how Steph doesn't really have that much power, and how it seems like it's going to be a McMahon power struggle. But like, aren't we kind of tired of this whole like authority storyline and the power the McMahons have? You know, haven't we all been begging for like a general manager to come in and just sort things out? It was also interesting to hear that Shane said that he wants control of Raw. He didn't say SmackDown. He didn't say WWE. He said Raw specifically. I don't know if that was just, oh, we're on Raw, so I want to say Raw. But I thought it was weird that he kind of phrased it that way. I always said that if they're going to do a brand split, you do it with WWE. You do it between WWE and NXT. If they do a Raw and SmackDown split, which is what some of the rumors are saying, I don't know how true that is, but that's what some of the rumors are saying. Anyway, it was really just kind of like bizarre. So essentially, Vince goes and says that it's weird because you know what was weird about this segment to me was that Shane essentially has the dirt. He has the dirt on Vince, so he has all the leverage in the situation, and he can essentially make Vince do whatever he wants because he has the lockbox and he has all the goods. I mean, if he wanted to, he can release that info right now. So I thought it was very strange that with Shane having control, Vince says, and with Shane having control and saying that he wants control of the company, Vince says, or wants control of Raw, I mean, Vince says, you know what? Fine. You want control of the company? Then I'm going to put you in a match at WrestleMania. And I'm like, no. Wait a minute. Shane has control of all this. He shouldn't be the one being put in a match. That doesn't make sense. But that's what we got to. So they're going to put Shane in a match. All right, fine. Excellent, Vince. Shane's in a match. Everybody's going to go crazy for Shane and whatever match you're going to put him in. And Vince puts him in a match with Undertaker, which immediately, you know, whether you like, with everybody liking Shane, that's immediately like oh, fuck. I got to choose between Shane and Taker, with Taker possibly being the bad guy, because if Taker wins, then it's like Shane doesn't get control and we don't see change. But if Shane wins, it's like he beat the Undertaker at Mania. That's something nobody has done except Brock Lesnar. I mean, it's kind of, and he's going to be at his own hometown, his home state in Texas. It's kind of hard. It's like really puts you on edge, and it kind of makes you wonder, why can't we do this with anybody else? You have such a hard time making this compelling drama where it's like you can't. I guess it's because you haven't made anybody beloved either, where you can't have like somebody where it's like, all right, oh, he should be a clear-cut guy, especially when they want to turn people. It's like, oh, clear-cut hero here. There is nobody you could possibly put against this guy. And when you put him against a certain guy, and you're like, oh, wow. It's kind of like when, all right, let me say this, for instance. Dean Ambrose is really over, and people like him. People really, really like him. And granted, they have him going against Brock Lesnar right now, which will automatically split a bit of a reaction, even though people do want Ambrose to win and they'll cheer for him. But Brock is a monster, so they want to see carnage and destruction. So like even tonight where Brock, destroyed Ambrose and people cheered. I mean, because that's what they want. They want to see destruction from Brock, but at the same time, it's like, it's conflicting because it's like, but I want to cheer Ambrose because I want him to win, and I know he's got to be the underdog here. It's also like, say, if you wanted to turn Dean, but you wanted to make him seem like the hero at first, it's like, all right, Dean, yeah, we'll put you in the championship match or whatever, yay, or like a match for a shot at the title or whatever. But you'll have to go against Daniel Bryan if Daniel Bryan was still wrestling, and then you go, oh, because then you don't know how to feel anymore. Same thing if this were like Shinsuke Nakamura or AJ Styles, it would just kind of, you feel conflicted. So I like that, there's this conflicted feeling of Shane McMahon versus Undertaker, even though, I mean, come on, it's Taker, but at the same time, with the stipulation and what's at stake, the stakes feel real. You know what I mean? Overall, it's a fun little interesting segment. So afterwards, we had I'm just going over the major points here. So Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, before Raw even started, they shot a video and posted on Facebook of Dean Ambrose arriving to the show. And obviously they planted fans to be there to witness this. Dean Ambrose being attacked by Brock Lesnar, who came in, started just wailing on the guy, threw him into a limousine, picked him up, slammed him into the window of the windshield of the limousine, and left him lying there. Ambulances came, picked him up, took him out. And then we had a segment with Brock and Heyman in the ring, and Heyman cutting a promo asking for an opponent for Brock at Mania, but make sure before you decide to take that match to go visit Dean Ambrose in a hospital, at his hospital bed, and talk to him so that before you come in this ring what will happen to you. And as they finish the promo, ambulance sirens go off, and here comes Dean Ambrose walking out of the ambulance. An ambulance that he apparently stole and brought down to the ring. Now, I did say that I didn't mind this, even though he's done this before. I didn't mind this because he's doing it differently. Because he's driving here half, like just kind of like absolutely beaten, broken, selling, and making his way down to the ring half broken. Now, the problem that I do have with the ambulance is that it did make it feel a little too, Dean Ambrose felt like a cartoon at this point. And that's really not the tone that you want for a match against Brock Lesnar. It's Brock Lesnar, for Christ's sake. You want Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose to feel more real. I understand that, yes, his character is the lunatic. Well, no, his character isn't the lunatic fringe, but they call him the lunatic fringe. But for crying out loud, you don't have to turn him into a cartoony idea of what we think a lunatic is. And I think they go too far with that sometimes, and it takes the realism out of it. But Dean Ambrose came back. I wouldn't have minded if Dean Ambrose just walked through Gorilla. The explanation was just he walked, so he got out, he drove over and just walked through the back, that's fine. Kind of like, when the taxi cab came and dropped him off during what was that? Night of Champions, to go after we got curb stomped through cinder blocks to meet Seth Rollins. As a matter of fact, why didn't they just do that there? It's not like Ambrose couldn't call for a taxi. Should have just called for a taxi. Had him drop him off and then just limp on down to the ring and come meet Brock Lesnar. So he goes down there, and he pretty much tells Brock that he won him at Mania. And he believes that he can beat Brock Lesnar. It's really weird because the thought is that he can't do it. And you don't believe for 1 second that he can do it. Just look at the way they're treating him. He gets stepped on by Brock and just walks out. So he gets F5'd, and then he gets stepped on, and he's still just kind of like limping around. And I think he said at one point, kiss my ass, Brock. And Brock just kind of walks off as if it's like, all right, whatever, kid. This is a joke. And I kind of like that. I mean, the crowd reaction wasn't great, but they booked it that way where the crowd was, of course, going to cheer Brock. But at the same time, I like what they're doing here, because this isn't like John Cena, where John Cena just pops up and he'll just AA Lesnar and get all the heat. They're really selling Ambrose as the underdog, but that he doesn't quit. He gets back up and he's ready to go. Fortunately, he's not in a normal wrestling match with Brock, because if this were a normal wrestling match with Brock, this would never work. It's a street fight, which is Ambrose's style. It fits the character. And it's the one match where I'm like, you stand a chance. And maybe Ambrose walks out and wins. He's making me believe it. He's making me believe that he can, but my brain is saying he can't. It's weird. And I like that. I like that I have no clue if Ambrose is really going to win this or not. I think that he should. Because, yes, he's going to have a match with Brock Lesnar, and that's great. But if he doesn't go over, what does that do for him? It's fine if Lesnar loses a street fight. Brock Lesnar isn't made to be like a street fighter. It's not his match. So if Dean Ambrose wins a street fight against Brock Lesnar, I'm okay with it. It's not a normal wrestling match. Now, granted, Brock has won no DQ matches in the past. I mean, he beat Punk in a no DQ match, and he got wailed on. Was it a no DQ match? I think it was, wasn't it? Because didn't Punk beat him with a kendo stick? I'm thinking. I feel like it was. I think it was no DQ. But this one's going to be a straight up street fight. So Ambrose isn't going to shy away from Brock at all, or using weapons. Now it'll be interesting because Brock did have some trouble suplexing Ambrose, or at least getting him, like, if he wanted to do the belly, if you try to throw him over, doing like a belly to belly suplex or a belly to back suplex and throwing him over. Ambrose is taller than him. He's actually 3 inches taller than him. So it's a little harder to do something like that. But Dean's been taking the suplex. It's fine. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm buying into it. I'm hoping that Ambrose just kicks out of like enough moves where it's believable, but that it's just like it's because he's just not giving up. He's being absolutely stubborn, and you make a star out of the guy. But he had a decent start here. They had a decent start with the first week. We'll see what they do next week. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure Lesnar's not going to be there, but Ambrose will. So we'll see. If they put him in a match or what they do to kind of build him up going forward from there. Then we had the other big thing that happened. For Christ's sakes, they did Roman Reigns versus Sheamus with the League of Nations. Instant no buys. Nobody's buying that at all. And the ratings this week show that nobody cared either about Roman Reigns or this last segment, because it went from, I think the ratings went from like a 4 something to a 4 something to a 3.4. It was like a 600,000 drop off. Now, it may just be because that last hour was also very fatiguing. It was a very boring hour, but there was nothing in that last hour that was going to make you stay anyway, because if you really think that you're getting Roman Reigns and Sheamus, why would you stick around? So everybody's booing the shit out of Roman. They don't want him. He's in this match with Sheamus, so it's even more reason to just boo, because it's an awful match. Nobody's buying the League of Nations, even though they interfered and they said like, Steph threatened that, maybe they'll try to injure you and put you out so you don't even get to Mania. They, what happened after this? They got interference on him at one point, and then they went to commercial break and they came back and Cole just says, League of Nations got ejected. I'm like, great. So glad we couldn't see that. Also, like, I don't get it. They're heels. They're bad guys, right? They're bad guys. Why are they listening to refs? The authority's backing them. Why are they listening to the refs? I don't get it. They are heels. Why are they listening to people? Just throw the match out and beat his ass down. I don't know. So they continue working. They get to the outside at one point. Sheamus gets speared. Roman Reigns rolls in. Ref counts to 9. I think it's supposed to be a count out victory, but Triple H's music hit at 9. So I guess the ref decided, whoops, I guess I'm not going to count out now. I guess I'm not going to throw out this match. And Triple H just walks down to the ring. Just walks on down, doesn't sneak attack Roman. Roman gets out, meets him there, and they just start fighting. And the crowd's cheering Triple H. And when Roman Reigns gets advantage, he gets booed. Triple H gets advantage, he's cheered. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Roman Reigns has beaten down Triple H so many times that this is essentially Triple H getting his vengeance. So why would you boo this? Triple H didn't try to sneak attack him or beat him with a chair beat him with a chair from behind or anything. He came down the ramp, let you know he was here, and then he beat Roman one-on-one, fair and square. No interference, nothing. Took his ass to the table, smashed his head. Byron Saxton slipped him a blood capsule to burst open. You'll know this because you looked at Roman's hands. There was way more blood on his hands than there was on his face. Or blood, I should say, in quotation marks. And then Triple H gets, kind of like looks at the crowd. They're giving him a great reaction. They're cheering. They're yesing. They actually yesed to Roman's head being slammed, just going, yes, yes, yes. They did the pedigree on the steps, and the crowd's going nuts. They're chanting Triple H. They're doing the yes chant. The yes chant to Triple H. The one guy that tried to stop the yes movement is getting the biggest yes of all time. Maybe not all time, but he's getting a pretty big yes reaction. It's just hilariously ironic at this point. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no clue. I have no faith in them. Roman Reigns goes out with they have him get surgery done on a pre-existing nose injury. And I guess this was the way to write that off. So he goes and gets surgery done for the deviated septum. He's not going to be on Raw next week, or at least, I'm sorry, this Sunday or this Monday, whenever. He's going to return to Raw for Chicago. I mean, dude better bring the fight now, because if he doesn't, They can't sell an underdog story with Roman Reigns. You can't do it. You just can't. This has been a guy that you've tried to put in your main event picture for 18 months. He is main evented, and he's going to main event a second Mania. A second one. I don't feel bad for Roman Reigns. I don't. Yes, when you get to the main event of Mania, shit gets hard. Shit gets tough. Shit is difficult. But they always want to sell you as if, he's the underdog when he has a one-on-one fight. This isn't Daniel Bryan, who has to fight Triple H first and then go into a triple threat match against Batista and Randy Orton. This is Roman Reigns, who's going to have a one-on-one fight with Triple H for the title. I don't feel bad. Yeah. I mean, I was laughing the whole way through this segment. It was funny. That's all it was. It was funny. The rest of the show was whatever. They did New Day versus Neville and Lucha Dragons, which was a fun match because I did get to see Neville do a 450 to the floor, and then Kalisto jumped off his back to do like a shooting star press, which was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. New Day ended up getting the win. I think New Day won. Yeah, New Day beat the. I think what happened is that Kofi got in the ring and rolled up Sin Cara or something like that. I can't remember. Either way, New Day wins. I think what they're going to do with Y2AJ, which we'll get to in a little bit, is that they may be heading towards some sort of like fatal four-way, or having a mix of tag teams all together battle for the title. And truth be told, I think they're going to put the belts on AJ and Chris Jericho. I really think so. I think they're going to do that at Mania to at least give AJ some momentum, give him a title. And then when Jericho needs to leave or whatever, or he's going to go and do whatever he wants to do, because I don't think Fozzie's touring right now or doing anything with that. He's been consistently on the program. And I think with all the Japanese talent coming over with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, he's going to want to stay. That this could be a thing for a little while. It was funny because when I tweeted out, I was like, Y2AJ, this is going to be a team, and then they're going to have him compete with the New Day. Everybody immediately tweeted me, no, Jericho's going to turn heel here, and then they're going to do a match at Mania. And sure enough, look, they're a team. Jericho and Styles had a segment where Jericho, I believe, called out Styles, and Jericho said, at first I didn't like you, but now I respect you. You're really good. And then the Social Outcasts came out and were like, "You're gonna buy this? This is this is dumb. But he doesn't mean a word of what he says." And Jericho talks to the crowd and he says, "You want to see us be a team?" And they're like, "Yes." And so AJ Styles, and then Jericho's like, "Cool, we're a team now," and they become Y2AJ. The Social Outcasts call him that, and AJ Styles, Jericho worked a match. It was a bit of fun, and Jericho and Styles went over. I think Styles won with the calf crusher. That was it. It's a pretty fun little match. The Usos versus the Ascension. I didn't care. The Dudley Boys came out. They talked about how they pretty much got the same promo they did last week, where it's like, we are a decorated tag team. We are the 9-time tag team champions. No more tables. So I guess maybe they'll be like the 4th team or whatever. I don't care. The Usos won. That's all that matters. Wyatt family versus Big Show, Kane, and Ryback. I don't know why we needed this match again. I know that the difference was that Strowman wasn't in and Bray was, but why did we need this match again? I didn't care. The important thing to note here is that Ryback left in the middle of the match. I don't know why. Just, if your big idea was that no more tag teams for Ryback, you could have just not been in the match and just said, I'm going to go solo. I don't know what to make of it. I don't even think it's a heel turn. I think he's staying face, but just left his teammates. And all he had to say was, if that was the case, was that he was in the tag match and just got bored. He could have been like, I just realized kind of standing out on the ropes that I didn't want to do tag team matches anymore. And that could have been it. But no, in the middle of Kane's hot tag, as he's getting ready to go for the chokeslam and win the match, he decides to leave. Apparently, this distracts Kane, and Kane gets pinned. I think Bray Wyatt came out, Sister Abigail'd him, and that was it. This is bizarre. I don't know what to make of that. So yeah, so Ryback's now a singles guy again, and the Wyatt family 50-50 booking, because why not? That's what we do. The other match that happened was Sasha Banks and Naomi. Yeah, I have no idea. Sasha won this match, but I, for the life of me, can't remember how it happened. The match was whatever. What's really important is that I think at one point Tamina tried to get the upper hand and Becky came out as the equalizer, and got Team Bad out. Charlotte came down, said that the Authority was going to name a number one contender, so that Sasha and Becky will duel out for it. And, she'll be sitting there watching. She tried to cause some dissension by telling, oh, you can't trust each other, and you can't, and saying, hey, Becky, look out, as Sasha was doing nothing. So yeah, Charlotte trying to get in her heel work. It was good for what it was. Fun little promo, and then that's pretty much Raw. Decent show. Really, really fun parts. Really, really hilarious ending. Because I don't know what they're doing with Roman Reigns, man. I have no goddamn clue what they're going to do. It's ridiculous how poorly they booked this guy. And at this point, I've gotten to a point where I'm just laughing at it. I'm laughing at it, and I'm actively not wanting to cheer Roman Reigns. They've done it. They've gotten me to that point where I'm just like, dude, just fuck this guy. And it's your fault. And it's really their fault. It's 18 months. They haven't figured it out. You know what gets Roman Reigns over as a Samoan badass, as you always like to advertise him? When you book him like a badass. When you just have him go out and beat the shit out of a guy and not sell for 15 minutes, not treat him like he's John Cena, just fucking make him the man. But nope, that's not what they're going to do. Anyway, that was Raw. Let's go into some news real quick. I know somebody tweeted this to me on Thursday. Apparently, Liza tweeted out that all he wants is an apology for the whole Wyatt's thing. Look, if you want me to say I'm sorry for, mentioning the Wyatts, I'm not really sorry for saying the Wyatt's name, because I've gotten to the point now where I want to take this seriously. To me, I think that if we're going to discuss wrestling, we have to call them what they are. I understand if you want to make fun of somebody's name or do that, that's fine. I have no issue with that. But not talking about them or pretending that they don't exist, to me, it's not fun. It kind of makes me hate talking about wrestling, and it's not constructive, even if WWE isn't going to do anything with them, or if they're going to book them, incorrectly. Sure, I'm sorry for, I guess, ruining the gimmick, but I want to move on from it as well. I don't want to be stuck here having to address wrestlers as just nobody, because, at the end of the day, these guys are killing each other and putting themselves on the line to go out there and entertain us. I don't mind making fun of them or saying, I don't like this person, because wrestling is supposed to make you react, but we can't pretend like they don't exist. So yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. If Wiseman wants to come back, I'm totally cool with that. I have no issue with it. I've been waiting for it, honestly. And like I said, I'm sorry for breaking the gimmick, but I want us to be able to go forward and be able to acknowledge guys for what they are. I can understand if we just say, hey, this segment didn't really matter, because I have those moments too where I'm just like, this segment was just whatever. But to not acknowledge them and pretend like they don't exist, and which then ruins talking about certain things. I mean, remember, at one point, these guys were interacting with Brock Lesnar. I can't pretend like Brock Lesnar got attacked by nobody. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole thing. Moving forward, WWE actually has some posters right now where they're doing the Grammys, and they have like movie posters. It's actually a really good one posted a while ago of Dean Ambrose, where they do like Mad Max. Instead, they made it Mean Dean, and it's Dean Ambrose with the that cage face mask on his face, and then Becky Lynch with it's a really good one. They also have one with Kevin Owens as the Covenant instead of the Revenant. It's a really good one on the site if you want to check it out. I do not care for the website's new layout, though. It is an eyesore to have to navigate. It looks very like Tumblr blogish, where it's like somebody picked like a really fancy, clean looking layout, but the layout is a pain to have to navigate through. New Day, if you haven't seen on YouTube, they're making these little short videos now, and they're making fun of the League of Nations, which I guess is going to be their big feud. And it's like Kofi Kingston is dressing up as Sheamus, and Xavier will pretend to be like Alberto Del Rio or whatever, and they're all backstage just doing these like short little 1-minute videos. If you get a chance, go see them. They're actually pretty funny. But it's nice to see that they're actually, it's weird. The Social Outcast, their gimmick is that their whole thing was that they would trend on Twitter, and that's how they got popular. Yet you don't see much of them talking about things they do on Twitter or using social media like YouTube to get themselves over. So it's weird. It's like, I don't understand the gimmick. I understand that they are jobbers and that you're treating them like that, but why aren't you using them in a greater capacity in the social realm, since that's what's gotten them over? I don't know. It's weird to me. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Are there any rumors? Jericho got a black eye eating a Trouble in Paradise on Thursday. He actually saved AJ Styles, so he took a black eye for AJ Styles, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. Kenny Omega has pretty much said that he will fight all of WWE to get a match with the New Day. I don't know why WWE hasn't brought Kenny Omega over at this point. Granted, I know he's under contract. He can't right now. But at this point, WWE is taking all the talent. And Kenny Omega is starting to become a star in WWE. I had a great idea for Kenny Omega, in which I was going to make him one of the strongest Intercontinental Champions of all time. Essentially, by what you do is I was going to put him with a tag team of 2 guys and let him keep his cleaner gimmick, but obviously he's just not going to be a part of he's not going to be with the Bullet Club, and still have him as a heel, but I want him to be like a bit of a cartoony heel so that entertainment side can stay there. Where he still comes out with that evil Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth-ish kind of theme. And he comes down to the ring with a broom, and it's 2 guys. There's 2 guys that he has with him, always protect him and make sure that he's taken care of and not touched. He almost never loses. But he can cut these little cartoony little silly promos where, maybe he sits from the top of the ramp and goes and just blabbers on. It can have like really awkward dialogue, which he does sometimes, which is great. And does a little sign off of goodbye and good night. And then just leaves. We're missing that kind of villain in WWE, where a lot of the guys don't have that entertainment value side to them, where New Day are kind of silly heels. Like, their whole thing and what they've gotten over on is just being hilarious and making people laugh. And having a silly gimmick where they have unicorn horns and they gyrate and shake their ass or whatever. Whereas, with Kenny Omega, there's a side to him where it's serious, but the character is very silly. It's very over the top. And WWE doesn't have a villain like that. And I think that he could fit that role of an egotistical guy who's also very sadistic once he gets in the ring. But yeah, they really want to try to get a match together with New Day and make it happen. So I guess this would be the equivalent of Bryan winning his match with Nakamura, which unfortunately he can never do now. But yeah, I would love to see a trios match with the New Day and the Elite. I'd be so down to see that. It'd be a great match. I'd love to see like Big E do power spots with the Young Bucks. And the Young Bucks, super kicking Big E or super kicking Xavier and the back and forth between Xavier and Omega. It'd be great. I'd love to see a nice, entertaining match like that. Let's see what else. Don't think there's much else news-wise. I know that TNA is looking for financial backers for the company. Cena apparently could possibly be there for Mania, because if he just has to come in there, because the thought is that maybe he could come in during the match with Shane and Taker. And if he just has to run in and hit one AA on a guy on his good shoulder, that's fine. I mean, he can part-time and do whatever while his shoulder still heals. But I don't think he's going to be like doing a serious match at Mania. That's a bit of the rumor right now. Let's see. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be in NXT for a while. I don't know how long. They haven't really specified, but he's being paid essentially main eventer money, but he's on NXT. So I'd have to imagine that his time in NXT cannot be too long. I think you keep him undefeated at NXT, but never have him actually go for the title. You call him up within 3 to 4 months like you did with Kevin Owens, and get him the hell out of there. And then get him going maybe towards like SummerSlam. Start building a feud for him there, and then move on. With Nakamura, I imagine what they're going to do is try to figure out his character or what new direction they're going in NXT. I don't know if he's changing his name or not, but then also getting him adjusted to like working the ropes here in WWE as well, because the ropes and the size of the ring are completely different than over in New Japan. So there is some adjustment that he has to do there. He also has to get adjusted to the style. There's going to be some things that they're going to tone down as well. So you have to get used to that. So we'll see what they do. Bayley and Finn Balor have been going nuts at house shows recently where they're doing that whole shipping thing where, they come out together and they act as if like they're a romantic pairing. It's all silly and fun. They do this. Balor actually did the same thing with Zayn too, like where they came out in each other's gear. Finn Balor did Bayley's entrance. It's really, really funny. They're having a lot of fun with it, and I do like that. Steve Austin thinks that Roman Reigns should turn heel, and man, I could not agree more with that. Really should turn heel. I know they're not going to, but he should. Shane McMahon is also he's really training for this match. So this match is going to happen, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be too many shenanigans in it. Well, actually, you know what? Let me not say that. There's going to be shenanigans, but Shane is actually going to have to fight. It's not like somebody's going to come out on his behalf and fight for him, unless it's a work. But it seems like, yes, they're really going to do that. Let's see what else. Shane McMahon is also going to be there in Chicago as well. So he's not. So this wasn't his last showing till WrestleMania this past week. He will be in Chicago in 2 weeks. It's worth noting. And that's about it for news. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the comments section. If you guys want to go ahead and start asking some questions, you can go ahead and do so. I will look at the Twitter right now and do the what wrestlers look like. Let me take a look. Do you think they'll do a triple threat at Mania for the Divas title? I'd personally rather see that than a 1 versus 1. I'm actually on the other side of that. I actually would rather see a 1-on-1 match than a triple threat. I know that they can work a triple threat. That those three specifically can. It's weird. I mean, maybe they'll do it because the people will really want that. And you know, I would hate to see a situation in which there's backlash against, you know, either Becky or Sasha for not having one or the other included in that match, which I hope the fans don't do, but that might happen. I don't know. I think it's just because we've seen a lot of like multi-women matches at WrestleMania that you finally want to see just a one-on-one match so that we start to take it a little bit more seriously. Yeah, I would rather see a one-on-one match. I would like to see a triple threat, but I think if you want to establish that, hey, take these women seriously, make it a one-on-one instead of a triple threat. But if I get a triple threat, I'm not going to be too mad at it either, because I think both Sasha and Becky should be in that spot. Why did WWE have to change their website? I don't know. That's a good question. No clue. Don't think Kenny Omega wants to be there. I don't think so either, but he really wants this match with New Day. He does. Kenny Omega, and I think it had a lot to do with the staff that was there at the time. Didn't want anything to do with WWE or getting called up, or sorry, not getting called up. He just didn't want to be there because he didn't like the staff. He didn't like the way they did things. He didn't like the hazing part of it. He just didn't want to be there anymore. Things may be changing now, because I remember in an interview, he actually did a interview with shoot. He was doing a bit of a shoot, and I can't remember what the name of the thing is, but they talked about it, and he was just like, you know, some of the best talent is over there in NXT. You know, I want to be where the best talent is. But he's enjoying his time right now in New Japan being a star. So it could be very possible that in a year or two, especially with the way things are changing now, he could go to NXT and be in the WWE. In normal circumstances, I would say no, but I mean, he's talking a lot about WWE guys. He's actively talking about it and wanting to work with guys there. So it's kind of hard to be like, it'll never happen, because it might, very well could. Taker will actually be on Raw next week. Yes, he will. He will be on Raw. Next debut. I actually have no clue. I actually think, if I had to take a guess, I'm going to say Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe might be the next debut, honestly. Will Kevin Owens face at Mania for the IC title? Oh, wow. I guess this is the difficulty of Dean Ambrose not being the IC picture anymore, and being shot up to main event. I have no clue. That's a good question. I guess right now the front runner. I mean, you can't do Tyler Breeze. You can't do that. Can't do Stardust. He just beat Ziggler. I don't think the Wyatts. That's heel versus heel, unless the Wyatts turn face. I don't think you can do that. I have no idea. And maybe that's why Kevin Owens wasn't on this week, because they had no idea either. Let's see. What other marquee matches do you see happening? I think you have them. It's going to be Taker and Shane. You've Dean and Brock, and then Reigns and Triple H. I think those are your marquee matches. And then you have the women's title, the Divas title match as well. So yeah, I mean those are going to be your big matches at WrestleMania. I don't think there's going to be another match that's going to come up that's going to make me say this is going to steal the show. I know the tag team match will be fun, but I don't think the tag team match is going to steal the show. It's going to be very hard to top Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose in a street fight. I think that may end up being the best match of the night. I think the other match that has an opportunity of doing that is Taker and Shane, and maybe even Roman Reigns and Triple H, honestly, because I think they'll actually have a good match and could possibly have the best match. All three of these matches could potentially be good. I don't think Taker and Shane might actually have the possibility of being the worst out of the three, which doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it's going to be worse from the standpoint of that. I think it's going to be very overbooked. I don't see it being very clean. Who will win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? I actually think it's going to be Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman is the guy that they have. Braun Strowman's going to be the guy to win this year. They've been teasing it with Big Show through Strowman over the top rope, and then this week Strowman through Big Show over the top rope. So I think that's what it's going to be. Raw was way better than NXT this week. It was easily Raw. Raw was long and tedious at points. It was very entertaining. NXT was actually kind of boring this week. All right, let's see. Let's do what wrestlers look like. Give me a second here. I'm still looking. What's today? The 27th? Okay. Oh, that's funny. When it's Thursday and it's Blackjack moves the podcast to Saturday. Yeah, okay, you got me there. It's Big E with like glasses with a suit on his shoulders. I think he's impersonating Wade Barrett. Maybe, I don't know. It looks funny. A picture of Edge just kind of gasping. It looks like, and it just says, looks like Edge just saw an Eva Marie match. You know what? Dolph Ziggler's face looks like the epitome of this one. And that's actually a funny one. When you're in the middle of fucking or having sex, and she actually to put it in. That's funny. Seth looks like the kid whose parents got him an N64 for Christmas. That's actually that's pretty good. And that was a great moment too when they put Seth Rollins in the triple threat match against Lesnar and Cena for reinstating the Authority. That was a great moment. I love that. And it's kind of weird that the Authority just can't do that anymore. Just fucking put people. You're the Authority. Do whatever you want. It's very strange that they don't do that. Let's see, are there any others? Looks like that's it. I'm going to say this week's winner goes to, I'll give it to Austin Pfeiffer this week, or Pfeffer, for me having to move the podcast this week. I apologize. I did have to move it this week for work. I didn't mean to, but had to happen. So the plan is that I will see you on Thursday for next week's podcast. Remember, if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. Please like the video as well to let people know. Leave your comments afterwards as well. And I will see you next Thursday at It's 21 Blackjack at Neat Clean Finish Podcast. See you then.